Welcome to our Thriving Talk with Karen series. Today we're going to talk about the top 5 Thrive Life ingredients even homesteaders want. Today we have a special guest. Please welcome our guest, Thrive Life Consultant, homeschooler, homesteader, and mother of 5, Chisa Jarvis. Hi, Chisa. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Karen.
Can you tell us a little bit about your homestead and what types of food you do grow on it?
Sure. So we live in southern BC. We have 2.5 acres. I have 75 food-bearing trees, and I have, well, greater than a 3,000 square foot garden. I just expanded it this year, so I'm not sure exactly what our measurements are. So I grow lots of berries. I grow everything you can grow in a garden. I'm in a zone 7, so I do have access to peaches and apricots and some of those tree fruits that are not able to be grown in other parts of the country, I guess. And then we also have chickens. We do raise pigs, and I have not ventured into the world of cows yet.
Yeah, well, that whole thing sounds like a huge commitment. That's wonderful. Must be so nice to have all of that food on hand like that. So even if people have room, like the space, the land for homesteading, there could be things that come up all of a sudden where maybe they can't put in that time and energy into homesteading. They could get sick at the time when everything needs to be pulled in, and kind of mess up the season of some of the foods.
Right.
There could be a lot of things that could happen to kind of mess that up. And not just that, there might be some things that homesteaders don't grow that they do like. So maybe one way to kind of supplement, if you can't work the homestead like you'd like, or you can't grow everything that you want, that maybe they could incorporate a Thrive Life freeze-dried food into their home food supply.
Absolutely. And for me, that's really what actually drew me into Thrive, is that I grew up in a house where we always canned our tomatoes and our peaches, and we had pickles on the shelf. But it was things like, so one of the first things that I started purchasing was mushrooms. I don't have a way of growing mushrooms. Mushrooms need a particular environment to grow. And I didn't have any way to do that. And the only other storage way for mushrooms is canned in liquid, and they're kind of rubbery if you've ever opened a can of mushrooms. Not my favorite. And so when I tried the Thrive mushrooms, I was like, yep, this is what I need. I need this in my life. So mushrooms was top of the list. It was a number of years later that asparagus hit the shelves of Thrive Life. And for me, that was such a big one too, because the only way that people can asparagus is pickled asparagus spears is the big thing. Well, I don't want pickled asparagus in my stir fry or my quinoa salad, or right. That was the only way to preserve them, was to do them pickled. And so when Thrive came out with their asparagus, I was like, yes, this is something that I need in my food storage, because the benefits of mushrooms and asparagus to add to my health concerns, and not concerns, but the thought of health around my food storage is they add vitamins and nutrients that I'm not getting from my bottled beans or bottled tomatoes, right, in the world of vegetables. So for me, it was, I'm kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, in that I can't grow it, I can't store it the way that I want it to, and it's adding the vitamins and minerals that I'm looking for to supplement what I'm already doing. Right. So those two kind of right off the bat were like, absolutely done deal, done and done.
Are there any other ingredients that you think would really help complete and make someone's homesteading food supply more whole?
Absolutely. When you're looking at having a food storage, you have to think about your different areas. So you've got your vegetables, you need to have fruits, because there is so much value that comes from color in your diet. And a lot of color comes through our fruits. We get orange and purple and red, all of these great colors. And so even though I have blueberries and strawberries and raspberries that I grow, I also have them on my shelf in Thrive cans, because there's a difference between the fruits that have been frozen and fruits that have been freeze dried
Right.
and stored in a can. Anything that you are storing in a freezer is not considered a long-term food storage, because if you were to lose power or lose that freezer, you have a very small window before it has all spoiled. So anything that you have in there, and that includes meats as well. A lot of what we do as human beings who have a deep freeze, you know, you might buy half a cow or you buy meat at the grocery store, however it is that you get your meat, anything that's in your freezer is not considered food storage because you could lose it in a heartbeat.
Right.
So for me, it's great that I have blueberries and raspberries and strawberries that I grew fresh. They are organic. I don't spray them or anything. I've picked them myself. I know everything about them, but I don't have storage with them if they're just in my freezer. And they're not great canned. I've had home bottled raspberries. They're not the best. They're great on ice cream though, because they're nice and soft and mushy, but they don't really hold up once you've cooked them. And that's the thing with home canned foods too, is that they are cooked. And so they have lost some nutritional value in the bottling process. So having it freeze dried gives me that, again, that value of nutrients and vitamins and minerals that I'm looking for to keep my family healthy the best way that I can. But it gives me that storage. So I have lots that are on my shelf that are just there for a in case of, but we go to our freezer first and eat the raspberries and blueberries and stuff out of there. So berries are definitely a must in my house. We love them. We use them all the time. In fact, we used through all of our berries already. And so smoothies at my house are done really in the season. I mean, the kids are like, we've got all this Thrive. And I'm like, or we just have oatmeal again today. They don't like that option. So. Yeah. But along with that, as we were talking about freezers and food storage, and freezers not being long-term food storage, if you don't have a protein source on your homestead, then that's something that you are going to want to consider as well, as having a protein source. Now, whether that's an animal protein, so chicken or pork or beef that we have through Thrive, and shrimp as well, actually. I totally forgot about that. There are vegetarian or vegetable plant-based proteins, right? We do have beans as well that you can get through Thrive. So you definitely want to be looking at your protein sources. I do have chickens, so I have laying hens and they lay eggs. And then I actually work with a number of Hutterite colonies in Alberta, and we trade walnuts for fryer chickens. So nice. I do end up meat in my freezer that way as well through barter and trade, which is really great as well. So, and then we do raise pigs, and I do have pork that way. And then my husband is a hunter as well. But again, that meat that's in my freezer, I know I could lose it in a heartbeat. And so there is a portion that I do end up bottling almost every year where I put meat in jars on the shelf so that I've got something. But aside, in addition to that, I have my Thrive meats as well. It's not as much as I would like to have on my shelf because it is a pricier item through Thrive Life. Like, of the Thrive items, it is on the higher end of the scale. But I do know that I have some there for should I need it.
Right. So, and you're talking about price, and as well, like it might seem a little pricier, the pricier of the different variety of foods available. And something people don't always think about too is it's hard to compare the price of Thrive Life food with the food you get at the grocery store or whatnot, because there's so much more involved with the Thrive Life food. So it saves you time, it saves you convenience. It's there forever. Like you said, your freezer food, it could be gone in 48 hours. And this Thrive Life meat and other foods will be there for 25 years plus. So it's not going to go bad, and it'll always be there for you. So it might seem a little pricier at the beginning, but it's so worth it.
Well, I think quality is a big thing too, like you said. So I live in a small valley here in BC, and there is a lot of homesteaders, market garden producers. There's a number of different meat producers as well. So pork and beef and that kind of thing. There has been a huge debate on Facebook recently in our buy and sell group where someone had advertised local hams for Easter, and their price for a ham that would feed 6 to 8 people was $95 with the bone in. And there was a lot of like, that's too expensive. But when you break down the cost of raising a pig from a piglet to end of life, and then your not arbitrary costs, your butchering costs, and all of that goes into it, and then also knowing that that animal was raised humanely and butchered humanely. A lot of what happens with our grocery store meats, they are mass produced, and they are, right, there's a lot of practices and things that are not humane, and so you have to take that into consideration as well, that the quality of food that we're getting from Thrive is a higher quality than what you're getting at the grocery store. So that plays into that price as well. And so if you're okay with the cheap ham at the grocery store, then go for the cheap ham at the grocery store. If you want higher quality, then you're going to want to look at that ham that's coming from the farmer that you know directly, that you can go right to their farm and you can see that. And that's that different with Thrive as well, right? You can buy a can of Spam, or you can buy Thrive. Well, I mean, I guess we don't have ham dices anymore. We used to, but right, it comes down to that quality in price as well. And so it's the choices that you're willing to, or that you're wanting to make for your home and for your family.
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right, so you mentioned the mushrooms, the asparagus, you mentioned berries, and you mentioned protein sources. Is there anything else that you would suggest?
So for us, it's the little things that we can't grow. So we cannot grow bananas or mangoes or papaya, or pineapple, sorry, not papaya.
That would be nice if we had papaya. We don't have that one yet.
So those are the big ones that I keep stocked in the house, are the bananas for sure. The kids really love the bananas, and the pineapple. The mango isn't as much. I've only got a couple of the kids that like mango. I don't particularly like mango. To me, it tastes like a pine tree. So I don't go for mango very often. It's all right if it's mixed in with some other things. But so again, looking at the things that I can't grow. So as a homesteader, if you live in an area where you can't grow, let's say tomatoes, because you have too short of a growing season, then tomatoes might be something that you're wanting to get from Thrive, right? So taking a look at filling in the gaps in your food storage as to what you're wanting to have on your shelf. I grew up in Fernie, British Columbia, and our growing season was from the 1st of June until the 31st of August. Like, we had 3 months. So unless you had a greenhouse, you were not getting tomatoes, you were not getting squash. It just didn't happen. The season wasn't long enough. Or peppers, we couldn't do peppers as well. Cucumbers, if you had them if you got them from the greenhouse or as a starting out plant, and you could kind of cover them a little bit, then you could maybe get them to last a little bit longer. And so I didn't grow up growing tomatoes. It was something I had to learn after I had moved away from Fernie, because we were like a zone 3 and we had a short season. So, you know, those are the considerations you have to take in as well as you look at foods that maybe you can't produce yourself. I can't grow great potatoes at my house. I'm trying alternate ideas this year. I have clay at about 5 inches down, and potatoes need to have a nice loamy dirt. And so as soon as they hit that clay, they just stop. And so I can plant 60 hills of potato and barely get 60 pounds of potatoes, right? Like a pound per plant is ridiculously small. And so I'm looking at alternates this year to try and do something different. So you have to take that into consideration. If you can't grow bananas or blueberries, or, you know, whatever the case may be, maybe it's you can't grow zucchini, or you can't grow cucumbers, or, you know, tomatoes even. If you can't grow those, then those are things that you want to put into on your shelf and have a part of your diet, then those are great options to come from Thrive. So for me, that's the other thing that I look at as a homesteader is, what can't I produce? So let's get that. I can't do tropical fruits. I'm not in a zone 10. I'm still in a frost here now and again.
You know, and I'm just thinking too, that sometimes things happen like hailstorms, or maybe some kind of disease kind of wipes out some of your trees, or some kind of bug, and all of a sudden that harvest you thought was there, it isn't going to be there. So
even things like heat. Last year we had a major heat wave. I didn't end up getting any strawberries, period, at all last year. I think we got one cereal bowl full in the course of the whole year. I have 150 strawberry plants and I got like very little strawberries. The season just was not great for strawberries. I didn't get much for blueberries either.
So it sounds like Thrive Life food can be a blessing to you and a blessing to any homesteader, to help complete their supply. Yeah, absolutely. Can you tell me a little bit about, like, so you buy Thrive Life food, but you're also a consultant. Can you tell me why you chose not only to buy the food, but to take that step to be a consultant?
So when I first joined Thrive, I was not living here in BC. I was in Alberta, and I lived on a corner lot and had a postage stamp for a backyard. And so I didn't grow a whole lot. I tried. I grew some beets and some potatoes, and I think I had a couple of tomato plants. So for me, it was, I was purchasing volumes of produce from the farmers market from one of the Hutterite colonies that was local to me. And so I did purchase beans and cucumbers and tomatoes so that I could bottle. I did end up getting peaches from BC, but again, I was looking to fill in those holes. And at the time, it was cheaper to, like, the program wasn't set up the same, because I've been with Thrive for over a decade now. And so it was, yeah, I guess I'll just be a consultant and I'll, could maybe make a few dollars. It wasn't that I wanted to be a business builder and, create my, mass millions with Thrive Life groceries, but it just made sense of the fact that I could make money back on what I was purchasing. And if somebody else that I knew wanted to also fill their pantry or their storeroom, then I could make a little money that way as well. And it wasn't until I moved to BC that someone contacted me and they're like, hey, someone told me you do Thrive. And I started doing home parties and they snowballed, like they took off for me. And so that was huge. I was like, wow, I didn't realize there was such a need for this. And I ended up with a lot of customers kind of right away. And then it fizzled because of where I live is a small town. Like our town is only 5,000. Our area service is about 15,000. So it's not a lot of people. And so it did fizzle a little bit. And then of course, COVID and all those things, but yeah, being a consultant just, I don't know, it just made sense. If I can, I get every little card at every store that's like, hey, have our card and earn points and use that to buy more groceries. Okay. So with Thrive, hey, be a consultant, earn dollars so you can buy more groceries. Yeah. Okay. That's kind of a no-brainer.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Chisa, for joining us today and sharing those top 5 ingredients that you thought would be something that all homesteaders would want and need to complete their home food supply. And I just want to thank all those people who are watching. For more information, please contact the consultant who invited you to this video. And if you just stumbled across it randomly, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you out. Also, to catch more in this Thriving Talk series, be sure to click the link in the description to make sure you are a part of the Facebook event page, or you can follow me on Thriving Talk on YouTube. So thank you very much, Chisa. Thank you everyone for watching. And until next time, bye.
bye.